You're listening to Cards to the Moon, a podcast about trading cards from both a collector and investor perspective. We hope you'll stick around for the ride as we take a deep dive into the state of the hobby, share some hot takes, hopefully some useful advice, and fun stories along the way. Hey, welcome back to Cards to the Moon. This is episode 29, and my name is Clark, and co-hosting with me, as always, is Hyung and John. Now, right off the top, guys, I want to quickly cover a couple of news items in sports that might have a considerable impact on the hobby. The first is this past weekend's F1 race that saw Max Verstappen, spoiler alert, that saw Max Verstappen win in the finale at Abu Dhabi over Lewis Hamilton. Yes, it was controversial, and I honestly personally don't understand the rules that allowed Verstappen to essentially catch up to Hamilton. It boggles my mind, but let's just take it for what it is with Verstappen as the new champ. I want to ask you guys, if you're looking to possibly collect F1 cards, what are you doing now? Are you buying? If so, who? Are you selling and capitalizing on the hype of F1 right now, or are you just holding?
Me personally, I'm holding. Nothing's changed. An event won't dictate kind of like where I see, F1 as kind of like the sport and how big it is, right? And how they market their sport and where the future of, cards are going, right? So nothing changes for me. I'm looking for great deals on Lewis Hamilton. So if anybody has a great deal on a refractor or something like that, just hit me up.
Yeah.
But I did come across a couple Max Verstappen cards, and you could tell that the prices are a little higher from the weekend for sure. I personally am not buying into that. I do think there's room to grow, especially in the sport. So I think just the timing is a little off, but for me, I'm buying Lewis Hamilton. I'm not selling any of mine personally, but yeah.
Okay.
What
about you, John?
I think I agree. I was speaking to a friend of mine that's really into F1, and he mentioned, and listeners can correct me if I'm wrong, but he mentioned the new Netflix, the season with this race that just happened. It starts somewhere between February and March of this coming year. And then the new season of F1 starts on March 20th. So if any sort of seasonality approach makes any sense here, like with football, for example, immediately after the Super Bowl, you kind of see a little bit of a dip in price. And then the weeks leading up to the new season, just like in any other sport, you start to see hype, right? So if February looks like, or even prior to February, is going to be hype season before the Netflix season, the new season comes out, and the new season of F1 actually is ready to go, that would really mean January might be buying, or now. Like that buying season seems pretty small if we are following similar trends. So if you're out there, I mean, I personally, I would love to get into Lewis Hamilton. It's quite pricey, but it looks like the season is now. Like, wait a couple of weeks for the, this weekend was pretty epic. Even as a non F1 watcher, like it was pretty awesome, man. And I think all eyes were on F1, so there's a lot of considerable buzz. So let the buzz cool off a bit. But I would say right around Christmas time, if you're looking to buy F1, it seems like it's a time to pounce before the new season. And, this new Netflix, the new season coming up is going to be the epic one, right? So, yeah. Just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, good point. I didn't know, actually, that the new season for F1 starts as early as March. Like, the off-season isn't that long. Mm-hmm. It's just, 3 months, like you were saying?
I had no idea either. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's crazy. So, yeah, if we're playing into the seasonality of sports like we do with all the other sports, the time to buy is coming up really quickly. And I'm with you guys. I don't own any Lewis Hamilton or Max Verstappen, but I was curious after the race if there would be a little dip in Lewis Hamilton because of the results.
Right.
And for some of the Sapphire PSA 10s, I certainly have seen A dip, not a significant one.
Yeah, I think it was like a 1-day dip. I was checking out prices too. I was like, I should have got it in there.
Yeah, exactly. You missed your window. But no, maybe like I would keep an eye on Lewis Hamilton prices, just to see if anyone's looking to unload because of the result or is more bullish on Max Verstappen now because he is a younger guy, up and coming for sure. So if there is, I'm looking to get into Lewis Hamilton, but yeah, I have a feeling that it's not going to dip considerably. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. Wait and see. Mm-hmm. All right. The second piece of record-breaking news I wanted to kind of go over is, of course, Stephen Curry, who is now the 3-point all-time leader, surpassing Ray Allen with 2,977 3-pointers and counting. So my question for you guys is it too late to buy his high-end rookie cards? Because I've certainly noticed a lot more Curry rookie cards up on eBay lately, and I'm sure they're trying to cash in on this amazing achievement by Curry. So what do you guys think?
I personally think that it's no different than your A-chip stock. At this point, Steph Curry has put up numbers, and he's a future Hall of Famer. It's a safe bet, I would say. I wouldn't be too worried. Obviously, the pricing is, inflated, but that's part of it, right? He's established his career, and I think it's a pretty safe investment if you're going that route. So I don't mind purchasing. And I don't even mind, on some cards overpaying because over time, unless you're, day trading Steph Curry rookie cards, right? I think you'll do well over time, especially the rare lower pop cards. It's tough to come by, right? So Steph Curry, how about Ray Allen? Speaking of, I think he's underrated too, right?
Yeah,
I forgot about him until Steph surpassed him, and you realize how amazing Ray Allen was as well, right? So, but I personally think it's never too late because we don't know where these prices are going to go, and previous history with the GOATs, the Jordans, the LeBrons have been pretty I guess optimistic in terms of pricing, right? So I think it's still a great opportunity, maybe not buying into the hype as he surpassed Ray Allen right now, so I think there's obviously a bit of hype. But I think as you monitor prices, I think a good time to go in is within the next year or so, because I don't think prices are coming down too much on someone like Steph Curry.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. Curry, I mean, he's one of the players that are starting to creep into the realm of Jordan, MJ, LeBron. And what I mean by that is a player that commands high dollar even on non-rookie cards. Right? Super collectible non-rookie cards, gold prisms, kabooms, downtowns, all that jazz. Yeah. I would probably say lay off the buzz on kabooms and downtowns and lower end rookie cards, prestige. But your question was, would you lay off high end rookies? And if you're, we don't, maybe Hyung, but Clark, you and I definitely don't play in the realm of high end Curry rookies. But if you're in that realm, I think you don't lay off because yes, you're going to pay a premium, but Clark, you mentioned it off the top. These cards are showing up. These cards don't show up, right? Like a Curry refractor PSA 10. I don't know what the pop is on that, 28 or something like that. Like that card doesn't show up. So for 2 or 3 of them to show up out of nowhere because the seller wants to take advantage, you pay that premium right now and you go for that card because any other year you're not even going to have a chance to get it, right? So it's one of those things that I think you do pay a premium, but I think if you're in that space, you got to go for it because it's a card that shows up out of nowhere and you got to make the most of it, right? So yeah, just my opinion.
I agree for sure. Yeah, I don't think there's much of a debate here, but if you can afford it, you go in because I think Steph Curry's next goal is to make this record unbreakable. and he has a good shot of doing it, right?
I don't see anybody coming close at the rate he's going, right? Maybe it's like the only way we could buy Steph Curry is through the collectible app.
Right.
Just throw that in there.
That's a good plug. If you haven't heard last week's episode, we interviewed Ezra Levine, CEO of Collectible, and you're right. That might be the only way to get a portion or own a portion of
Right.
of those high end cards. John, you're the one that sent just recently the guy who sold his rookie patch auto Steph Curry.
Right.
Was it like for 6,000 at the time, and
few
he
years
says it's
ago.
now worth a
$500,000.
few years ago.
Yeah.
Now it's worth
Yeah.
$500,000.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if you're that guy?
We got to bring him on the show and have a dead wrong segment.
we always say it doesn't matter what you sell for, it's what you do with those profits, but it's hard to make up $500,000.
Yeah, you just sweep that one under the rug. Just
Yeah,
forget about that
seriously.
mulligan.
But yeah, no, Curry's like, I always thought, I'm kicking myself because, I've always been looking for a Curry for the past year or two, thinking that
Bowman.
he's this generation. Yeah, the Bowman especially, think he's a generational player. And for one reason or another, I never pulled the trigger, or the price wasn't, right for me. But now it's like, okay, if I really want it, now I got to pay the premium for these cards.
I see this kind of common in like our stories always. It's always like the LeBron or Curry. It's like,
Right.
it was too expensive at the time, but now it tripled. So now I'm interested. Before I wasn't interested, but now that the price is triple, I'm interested.
FOMO.
FOMO,
But yeah, that's so true. So true. But yeah, I agree. Steph Curry, man, he's the man, and it was
crazy.
cool to see like everyone was rooting for him, even the Knicks fans.
Yeah.
I think they played at the Gardens, right? Yeah. So yeah, generational player, and we'll see how far he can go up with the number 3 points, because like I think the impressive stat was that he accomplished it with many fewer games than
Right.
Ray Allen, right?
Right. It was like half the number of games.
Half, yeah.
Something crazy. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. All right, let's just move on then with our regular segment, Hobby Headlines. Okay, so we were talking about how there are some cards that some collectors really like for a very specific reason. For example, color matching between the player's uniform and the color of the parallel card. So for example, I brought it up recently on a previous episode that I was actually on a hunt for a well-priced green parallel card of Jayson Tatum's Panini Prizm rookie in his green Celtics uniform. And in many cases, the cost of color match cards comes at a premium, right? Sometimes even more than other different color parallel cards that are more rare. So I wanted to go over a few examples like this in the hobby and ask whether you guys think it's worth collecting these kind of cards as a good long-term investment, or if it's not worth it at all. John, you mentioned the scenario about whether the price of these color match cards decreases if they happen to be traded to another team.
Right.
And so the color match doesn't work anymore. So actually, let's start with that before going on to the other examples. Color match cards, worth it or not so much?
I'm a sucker for them. I love them.
Okay.
The collector in me, that was always kind of like the biggest thing before even these incredible price increases. I mean, there was I believe, a premium on color match cards before, just not as, I guess, much and as popular. But, I think it brings a lot of value. I think eye appeal is huge on cards. I think especially if you follow the buy what you love, like for instance, I have a second year Soto. I wouldn't say it's a color match, but it's the Rookie Cup card, but it's the Independence Day, so it's a Washington Nationals, and then he has Nationals in front of his jersey with the Stars and Stripes as Independence Day theme, right? So for me as a collector, that was a card that I was like, it was a pop one, so I was like, I need to have that. There was no price that I wouldn't pay. Well, obviously there was, but like within reason, that would kind of steer me away, as opposed to just the regular color parallel of that Juan Soto, right? So that's just an example in like a Vladdy blue or Toronto Blue Jays, Bo Bichette blue, blue match. And I mean, it looks great, right? Like, I think there's so much eye appeal, and I don't think it will die down personally, because I think if anything, it's going to be more desired, and I'm not going to stop. It's always a bonus for me when I see a color match and we're fighting for it. So,
yeah. I personally love it too. I think when I have some certain cards or players that I collect and it happens to be a color match, Toronto fans know it. You get a blue refractor Vladdy or a blue sapphire refractor of Bo Bichette. Like you know that's mint, right? So the only reason I really thought of this, and I never thought of it before until Clark, you brought it up, you're chasing the green Jayson Tatum. I feel like the green Jayson Tatum is priced high, and that got me thinking. I'm like, okay, it makes sense. You know, iconic Prizm rookie card, green with the green jersey, it makes sense. But if you look at other green Prizms, and you know, albeit green is like one of the OG colors, so it makes sense as well. But if you look at other years, like you look at green, you know, Hyung mentioned green Trae PSA 10 Prizm for a longest time. Like that's obviously like complete opposite colors, not that popular. Green in general as a color, a little bit kind of ugly. So I don't feel like green itself is strong enough to uphold the card. So that really got me thinking about Jayson Tatum. Like, is it possibly overrated, right? Because what if Jayson Tatum, because right now people love that green because number one, it's color match. Number two, the Boston area, that Celtic green, that's hardcore. So for Boston fans, they are going after that card hard, right? But let's say he leaves. Let's say he leaves on a sour note, you know, and Celtic fans turn on him. What happens then? Like, so the entire Boston market no longer cares about Tatum. So now you have one market that fully doesn't care about it anymore. Let's say Tatum is on the Atlanta Hawks and he's wearing a red jersey. Is that original rookie card in a green jersey going to be still that desired? So that was a train of thought that I was starting to go down. And I was like, ooh, like, I guess if you pay a little bit more, you know, for that premium, I guess it's okay at the time you're collecting it. But if you end up paying, you know, the green Prizm for Jayson Tatum goes for double or triple normal green Prizms go for, I would be a little worried just in case, like in terms of long-term value. If your plan is to flip it in the next 1 or 2 years, I think you're probably most likely safe. But just something to think about in terms of, especially when you're investing and collecting. It really got on my mind. I'm like, ooh, as much as we love color matching, is it a little overrated? Could it lead you down like a little bit of a dangerous hole, right?
Sure. Yeah. No, I totally see your point, and it got me thinking when you brought it up, you know, off the air. So, but I think it's always a case by case example, right? Mm-hmm. Like in that case of Jayson Tatum, he's a stud, and we assume that if he gets traded for whatever reason, he'll do well on that new team. Right. And his rookie card's still going to be desirable because he's a good player, and I think the eye appeal will still help the value of that card, and yeah, don't underrate the eye appeal of cards. Like I think for me, I love it as well, and it's actually more practical with so many parallel cards out there now. It helps me to hone in on like which card I really want, right? And it goes with like eye appeal. It goes to like what card like looks really nice. Like I love to just hold it and stare at it, you know, on my spare time. And it's those color match cards. Like, you know, I love red Trae Young. Everyone knows I'm a huge Trae Young fan. I'm going for the red, you know, parallels if possible. Right. You know, I can't afford a blue Luka, but it looks amazing, you know, right. To get those blue Lukas, or like you know, even LeBron James in his Lakers uniform, like non-rookie cards. Right. Like, I'm always looking for a good purple one. You know, I don't care about the other ones, maybe the silver, but if there's a color that I want to chase for a LeBron card in his Lakers uniform, because it's definitely a lot cheaper than his rookie cards, the purple refractor is one I naturally gravitate towards. Yeah. So I think I like your point, Hyung, you mentioned before. Like, I think there's enough of us collectors that like color matching, so there'll always be a demand for them. Like, right. I don't think it's just gonna all of a sudden color matching isn't a thing anymore.
I actually ripped a box of 2021 Bowman Chrome, and I ended up getting a gold auto, and I wanted to get one of the studs, but then it was kind of like I would say a secondary. His name is Jordan Diaz, but it's Oakland, and I remember I wasn't even disappointed that it wasn't like a Pedro Pineda or somebody that I was chasing, because that was a color match with Oakland. The gold looks amazing with the Oakland Athletics. I was happy today just seeing kind of like it was a color match. That was the first thing I said. I was like, I don't care. I'm a big Jordan Diaz fan now, right? So I'm like rooting for him now, just because you hit it and you're like, oh. Normally I'd have been disappointed because it's like, oh, like such a waste. It's like a gold going into like a lower end player, but when you get that color match, it changes things. It changes your perspective. At least that's how I felt, right? So I love the color match for sure, 100%.
Yeah, I do. I do love it too.
Well, speaking of Pedro Pineda, like we were talking off air about him as a prospect, and Hyung was giving us the scouting report, and to be honest, I didn't know anything about him, but I started looking at some of his first Bowman auto cards on eBay, and it's cheap. But I typed first green refractor, and it looks amazing.
Yeah,
and
the green and gold look good, really good.
Yeah.
For the athletic prospects, especially. Yeah, for sure.
The gold sounds juicy.
All right. So here's another thing that I don't fully get, or it's more of a head scratcher for me, but some collectors will pay a premium for serial numbered cards that match the jersey number of the player, right? So for example, if there was a Michael Jordan sports card that was numbered to say 99, the 23 of 99 card would cost a lot more. What do you guys think of that?
Jordan is different. If you have a number 23 serial number Jordan, I think it's an amazing, or like a number 99 Gretzky, right?
Gretzky, right?
Or Kobe stuff like that where it's exactly.
Yeah.
But I think for the most part, I think people make it a lot overrated than it is, because they're hyping it up like jersey number, or even like I've seen like minor league jersey number, It's like, what are we doing? We're trying to justify every single reason why it costs justifying the sell price even more, right? So I think on iconic cards, on some cards it does work, and I've seen personally some cards that I don't think it deserves a bump, inflated price based on the jersey number, but some people like to gravitate towards it. I don't hate there. I get the appeal. I personally won't pay a premium unless it was somebody like Jordan, or somebody that's more iconic, right? But just because it's the jersey number, there's no way I'm paying more than what the asking or what the going rate is, right? So
right. I personally love it. I just can't afford it.
Right.
I don't think I own not one jersey match unless we're talking somebody who is a no name. But yeah, I as a collector, I love it, and I can see, just like Hyung said, I can see the appeal. It's very appealing, but you just normally, I don't know the exact multiplier, but it's generally a lot more expensive than the standard version. 79 out of 79 or whatever, and you get 23. It's a lot more expensive, double or triple, whatever the multiplier is. So I'm not one to be willing to pay that, but I do love it. So I understand why people would be willing to pay it. So it's one of those things where you love it, but you just can't. You can't afford it, nor are you willing to pay up for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because I don't care too much for it. I guess I'm more on Hyung's side of things, but again, I do also see the appeal. Like, if other than the iconic players, even if it's a regular stud player, there's a level of scarcity to it too, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you got the jersey number of that card. Like, when's that going to come up? For sale. So I see that inflating the price, but it depends on how much the price is inflated. Like,
of course.
So I didn't really think about it at all, actually, in terms of collecting until Top Shots, or until like the NFT cards, where you see the serial numbered cards, digital cards, and you're like, oh, why is this 12 of Tom Brady? Another bad example because he's iconic, but why is this jersey number of this player so much more expensive? Like, it's a significant multiplier, right, on digital cards. So, and then researching a bit more, it's true, maybe to a lesser extent, to physical cards, but there is a multiplier there too. So I want to bring that up. I don't know. I guess it's personal preference.
Good Lord, imagine hitting a color match and and a serial number. You're talking multiple. You hit the lotto.
Oh,
with this formula. There's some calculating some formulas here justifying these prices. It's insane.
That's getting me excited, actually.
Yeah.
If you have both, okay.
I wonder if anybody studied whether investing in jersey number is a good investment. Like that would be a good study to see if, I don't know, like a LeBron rookie sold 3 years ago for a PSA 10 sold for $1,000, and now the PSA 10 sells for $10,000. And then back then the jersey number sold for $3,000. Is the jersey number now $30,000
Right.
or is it $50,000 or is it $100,000? Like it'd be interesting to know, is it a good investment as well? Because that could probably answer a lot of questions for people.
Sure.
That's a good poll question for the gram.
Yeah.
Would be interested. Definitely would be interested in seeing that.
For sure. We'll put it up after this episode airs. But yeah, I'm curious to see what people think. And I think ultimately it comes back down to if there's a demand for it. Like, are there enough collectors out there that value having, like yourself, John, like the jersey numbered, serial numbered card? And if there is, then, it comes back to supply and demand, right?
Right.
So, okay. I got one more thing, and you can add anything after this, but this is another kind of head scratcher for me. Multicolor patch on relic cards. So the more color on it, so essentially if you get a patch that's part of a very colorful logo, is it worth more the more color that you can see on the patch, right? So, you've seen listings where it's 4-color patch auto or patch card. And it costs a lot, right, for a stud player, and it costs more than a 3-color patch or a 2-color patch.
Right.
What do you guys think?
For me, 1,000%, it matters. Like it goes back to the eye appeal in terms of patches. I think personally, patches are underrated. Not necessarily in basketball or other sports. I think hockey's picking up too, but I think specifically baseball. I think Topps did an absolute horrible job with patches. So I think there's a lot of room there. That's on a side note, but I cannot stand a single one color, the white,
the napkin, the white napkin,
or freaking the white boxer brief,
can't do it either.
whatever they put on there. The
white's brutal.
The one color, and then if you do hit a multicolor patch or someone like a Trae Young where they have the highlighter green, red, black, it looks so great. I think it goes back to the eye appeal, right? The color match, and I think it will continue to bring more value. And I think a lot of people use it because if they're gonna get a piece of the jersey, who wants the white part anyways? Or you know what I mean? Or somebody wants kind of like the embroidered parts, the multicolored patches that actually give the card that character, right? So for me, I'm big on the patches. Specifically, I think baseball lacks in terms of like the love for patches, and I think one day that will pick up, the rookie patch autos and stuff like that. I think because they're secondary, more collector set that like Topps, whatever it is, Topps tier or whatever, makes a lot of patches, right? So I personally like them. I think there's great value in them. And yeah, I think the prices are justifiable for patches, for multicolor patches. That's it.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I like them too. I don't remember when patches like RPAs first came out, but I remember watching it. So I followed when I stopped collecting in 97 or 98. I think it was shortly thereafter. It was this whole trend of, there are, all these companies realized, there's a high-end market here. That's when, I was collecting Finest. It was the first time a $20 pack came out with like 5 cards in it. At the time, it was insane. You're like $20 for 5 cards. And then out comes Exquisite Basketball and the Cup Hockey. And it's $150 for a pack. Comes with like 3 cards, which was insanity at the time. And I remember patches, I think it was just jersey at the time. But it'd always be single color. I think majority was single color, but once in a while you would hit that section where the color changes to another color. So you get 2 color, and then back then you'd hit a 3 color, and that would be a big deal. And it would command such a huge difference in prices. Fast forward today, for the most part, I don't think people are too concerned about exact, because back then they used to literally count the number of colors. So it'd be 2 color versus 3 color versus 4 color, all had different pricing. I think now people just care, like Hyung said, like, I just don't want that white napkin. That's it. Like,
Right.
LaMelo Ball, National Treasures, give me one that has just not that white napkin or the Charlotte Green napkin. Like, give me some kind of variation or embroidery, and I'm happy. I don't care the number of colors. Just give me something other than white. And yeah, so I think colors doesn't really matter, like the number of colors, but certainly anything above the white napkin matters. And then if you end up getting like a really cool portion of a patch, you know, you see the entire logo of the team jersey or whatever, like I think that's also like a pretty, you know, it's pretty unique, right? To get a pretty like a cool section of the jersey. I think I saw one of the Toronto Raptors ones that had like a section of like the OVO like emblem that came out. Like that was pretty cool too, right? That I think that would cool. Like
I like that.
A pretty cool collector piece. So yeah, if you get a cool portion of a patch, I think that's also cool. But yeah, in terms of just colors, probably a little overrated if you're going to pay just for like 3 color patch. Right. But yeah, it is justified over the white napkin.
Totally agree. Like the white napkin's the worst.
For the white napkin. Oh man.
Like I don't even mind a single colored non-white relic patch, right? Like anything but just the white. And you know, I certainly gotta have a few of those white relic cards. It's brutal. Yeah, it's just absolutely brutal. But I asked this because at a certain point I thought it just became a little bit silly, where it's like it's a 4 color patch, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, where's the 4th color? Like even if there's a sliver
like a
of another of another color, they'll advertise as a 4 color patch, and then they'll go for a premium. So like that's why I bring it up. Like you mentioned, John, I agree completely. Maybe the number of colors is overrated, but yeah, definitely if you come back to eye appeal, that's where I see the value. Like you were mentioning, Hyung, to lead off. So yeah, but the number of colors, I don't know. You know, like 3 to 4 color patch. If it's a huge premium between 3 to 4 or 2 to 3, like I'm not interested.
Right.
But you know what? That being said, if I pull the multicolor patch and it's like, I'm gonna count as many colors as I can.
You're listing. I
want to see 4 colors. Oh, for sure.
eBay 1 of
5 color. eBay 1 of 1 on this 4 color patch. Yeah. All right. Do you guys have any off the top of your head? Anything like this, like where it's just a collector's preference for certain cards and whether it's a good long-term play?
Well, even when we're talking about Ja Morant and with the wrapper, with the young Dolph on it,
right?
Like that was pretty cool, and that made me kind of go down like a train of like looking at other cards. And I saw one the other day that I'd never seen before. I think it was like 91 hoops or 1990 hoops basketball, and it's like a random complete nobody, but he's going for a dunk, and right in front of the camera, underneath the net is Jordan. And Jordan's wearing the number 12. It was the one and only time he ever wore the number 12. Right. And I saw it on somebody's Instagram. They like highlighted it. This is like such a cool card. And I was like, whoa, I've never seen that before. That's pretty cool too. So just wanted to like, you know, whether it's awesome or if it's just a fad, but those are the kind of cards that we've talked about it, right? We've talked about C3PO and like F-Face, Billy Ripken, like those kind of cards that have some kind of unique weirdness or something that just happened to they captured on the screen of the photo. Like I find those cards pretty cool. I'm not sure if I'd be willing to pay like a massive premium, but yeah, cool collector stuff anyways.
I don't know, I feel like as the hobby grows, I feel like we're going to see like these new trends in collecting.
For sure.
Yeah,
that's true.
That might not make sense at first, but there might be enough collectors for one reason or another that love it at that moment in time.
I think you kind of see it with inserts as well. You know, you see it with obviously the 90s inserts and kind of like the modern case hits that we talked about before, and whether it's a fad or not, right? But at the end of the day, these are what people are looking for and collectors are looking for as well, right? Yeah. So I also think inserts have some room to grow, because I think especially on the baseball side, insert gets no love, right? Once it's an insert, you're like, doesn't matter if it's like rare or anything. You're like, insert.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
Insert auto. It's an insert auto.
There was actually
that mentality. Yeah.
There's actually a guy on the Canada Basketball Facebook forum. He had like signed Kobe basketball and shoes, and he was starting a card collection, and I ended up selling him a card. He's out in New Brunswick, but he was collecting a Kobe rookie card graded series, all PSA 8s, because Kobe wore the jersey 8. Right. So I thought that was kind of cool too. I was like, I never really thought of like, as in terms of collecting and in terms of like money out of your pocket, it's obviously pretty affordable, right? So to go for like his jersey number 8, PSA 8s, and I happen to have a PSA 8. Okay. So I was like, that's actually kind of a neat thing to go for. So like you're saying, Clark, I think collectors can come up with very creative ways of the way they want to collect, right? And the uniqueness of the way they collect.
Yeah, like rainbows, right? Like people who do rainbows,
exactly.
That's insane. Like when I see some of the people collecting rainbows, I'm like, how much did that cost you, right? Like, because you're going from superfractor all the way through all color. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. I think if you have a set like that and you're selling that, I think that could potentially, bring a premium as well, right? So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, anytime we see a new trend, we could always revisit this segment. And I thought of a perfect name for it. We can call it Rad or Fad.
Love it.
All right?
Nice.
Okay. So, yeah, keep that in mind. All right, let's move on then. So by the time this episode airs, it'll just be, believe it or not, a few days until Christmas. So I thought we could do a quick fun segment called Christmas Wish List. So more specifically for this segment, I want to ask you guys, what's 1 or 2 cards that you really want for your PC? That means not for investment purposes, as we normally talk about on the show, but a card that you would never sell. And it doesn't have to be expensive. It can be, but it could also be cheap. So yeah, what would you love for your PC?
This one's tough. You know what? It was a lot tougher when I started actually thinking about it because I think they go hand in hand, kind of like what I started realizing is that my PC cards kind of like I like PC cards that have value more so, right? So I that's my thing kind of changed. It's like I was buying way too many cards that didn't have too much value, so I ended up hoarding a lot of cards. But me personally, I guess it's not a Christmas wish list because I'm not going to actually buy this for Christmas for myself. But as it's really expensive. But for me, it's the Tiger Woods SP auto. I think that was a card that I missed out on early. And if there was one guy that I'm in on is Tiger Woods, just because he was big, kind of like in my generation, and obviously your guys's too. And when it's all said and done, I think he's going to be one of the most iconic, figures in our generation in terms of the infrastructure of sports itself, what he did with the game of golf, how he introduced it even to the middle class. Like golf is so important or so popular now in the middle class, right? And I believe he's the guy that kind of brought that bridge, right? So for me, it holds dear to me to be able to grow up watching him golf and win all these championships and go through the struggles, right? So for me, an auto, the SP authentic auto, not the Signs of Times or any insert autos. I'm talking about the OG SP auto out of 900. It kind of reminds me of the Future Watch autos, I guess, that are popular in hockey. This was the Future Stars, I guess, is the SP authentic auto. So for me, that's a PC card, a Grail card. For me, obviously, it costs like 20K, so it's kind of expensive, but it's one of those cards that I don't think I would sell if I did get it, right? So
it's a nice card. It's a beauty.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Tiger. I've been on that precious metal run right now, and I would love to have the Tiger precious metal, the one that the employee exclusive.
Right.
Such an awesome card. And I think I'm sure there's a lot of old school listeners, but some of the young guys, like Tiger, when they say Tiger made golf cool, he literally made golf what it is today, like how it's widely accepted. Like they don't know, like people don't know the struggle for us older guys. Like my dad was a huge golfer and most of our dads were, and it was not cool at all. You think of golf at the time when you're 10 years old. What are you doing? Like, oh, my dad's going to take me to the driving range. Like, you're playing golf? You're such a loser.
Yeah.
Like, you'd get made fun of if you're going to go play golf. Like, that was like, only grandpas played golf. Like, why are you playing golf? And then look, sorry, go ahead, Hyung.
No, I'm just thinking that's a good point. It's like I would be embarrassed. My dad would practice his golf swing in the supermarket. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
This is when it was popular. I'm just like, no, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like kids don't know the struggle, man. You couldn't golf. There's no way like a young kid could talk about golf. Like it was just not a thing to do.
Yeah.
So now the fact that young kids play it, like teenagers, it's cool to play it. Like adults, like everyone loves golf. It's widely accepted. It's one of the cool sports. It's pretty incredible, man. So I'm with Hyung on Tiger. He's huge. My personal, obviously PMG Tiger would be a huge one, but I'm gonna go off. I'm gonna go off. And you guys know that I've wanted the Sunny Color Blast, Sun Heung-min, the Korean soccer player on Tottenham. Yeah. That's a card that I want in my PC. I would love to have it. I would never sell it. It's so hard to justify, $1,500 US raw, $3,500 in a PSA 10. And as a collector collecting PC, I'd obviously want the PSA 10. So to spend, over $4,000 in Canadian dollars or $4,500 on like a PC piece, just not something that I'm willing to do. So it's one of those like, I want it, but I can never spend that money on a like a PC. So we'll see. Maybe one day I'll get lucky. Sunny is coming out with a third iteration of the Color Blast in the new series.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. So hopefully maybe that'll kind of water it down and prices will get cheap. I don't know. So maybe I'll have a shot at it again. But yeah, something I'd love to have, but I can't justify spending that on a PC.
Maybe you could trade up for it, as we collect more and more.
Yeah, we'll see. I thought of that too, but man, it's still like Hyung said, I think a lot of our PCs and the cards we love now, it's kind of sad to say, but for most people, their most expensive cards or the ones that are the most valuable are the ones that people treasure the most, right? That's kind of like the big boys of your PCs. So to think about me trading like one of my big boys or like trading a Tiger Woods Gold to try to go for a Sunny Color Blast, like that's not something I'd want to do either, right? So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. All right, my PC or what's on my Christmas wish list. We always talk about Topps Stadium Club being underrated, for its artwork and it still doesn't have as much value as other baseball card sets like Bowman or Topps Chrome even. But there's one that I came by, so I'm going more newer. But there's one that's of Bo Bichette. Nice. And that Topps Stadium Club with the CN Tower in the background?
Oh, yeah.
The low angle shot, Bichette running onto the field with the CN Tower.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a rainbow foil board autograph numbered to 10.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing. It looks amazing. Like the color that shines off the rainbow foil board. I think it's currently listed for like 2,100 or best offer.
Dang.
And it's raw. But yeah, it's one of those things like, if I had all the money in the world, that's something I would buy and I would just keep because it's so beautiful. Like the art of the card is amazing. So I think that's kind of what has spurred on this segment as well. Like it's on my watch list all the time. And I think if someone ever buys it, I'll be sad, but because I think it's a redemption too. So
they have that rainbow foil is unbelievable. They have that same image in that gold minted with Stadium Club. That's a nice
Sweet.
PC
Awesome.
pickup too as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it's funny. Like all our PCs are like of players that mean something to us, or in my case, like any hometown guys that.
Right.
but Bichette still has value. Obviously, he's a good player.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I guess it always comes down to that. Do you go with the athlete that means something to you as a kid or recently even?
I was expecting like a gold Manny Margot Bowman Chrome or something. The
card that started it all.
The card that started
We're going
it all.
there.
Yeah.
No, the card that started it all was the Mookie Betts I gave up for the Manny Margot. So definitely not on my PC anymore. Yeah. All right. Maybe there's a rich Santa out there listening to our request and can ship those cards for us. But yeah, it's hard to believe Christmas is just around the corner. And actually, this is kind of a heads up. Next week will be our last episode of 2021. So it's crazy. We'll do kind of an end of year recap for that episode. Anyway, before we get to that episode, let's finish this one with our regular Pick One segment. So this week we're doing the regular edition of Pick One, which is, for those who are listening for the first time, we put up 2 cards. Each of us puts up 2 cards or sets, and we debate on which one we would rather have. All right? So if you're a first-time listener as well, you know that Hyung always leads off this segment. So let's go.
We're not going to change anything here, okay? Okay, and I'm going to bring in real-life situation here because I'm going to pretend that there's $1,000 budget. So if I'm looking at $1,000 investment in one of the top players in baseball, I like the Topps Chrome Fernando Tatis Jr. base rookie auto. So 2019 Topps Chrome Fernando Tatis Jr. base rookie auto, BGS 9.5. Sorry, that was a PSA 10, right? I think PSA 10 versus a 2019 Topps Chrome Vladimir Guerrero refractor auto, BGS 9.5.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, did that make sense? So Fernando base PSA 10 Topps Chrome auto versus a refractor BGS 9.5 of Vladdy.
Topps Chrome?
Topps Chrome, yeah,
Topps Chrome,
2019,
okay.
Same year, yeah.
And they both go for around $1,000.
They both go for around $1,000. Sorry, I'm wrong on that. They go for 1,900 was the last PSA 10 sale for the Tatis, so it's a little more expensive, but that was also high. It went down to I believe like 1,500, whereas the refractor is, the BGS 9.5 is around 12.
Around 12.
Okay.
All right. Ooh. You know what? I always toot Tatis's horn because he's, if not my favorite current baseball player. But I'm going to show Vladdy some love this time. And I think for us especially, I think now that we've gone to a couple of these local shows, it just proved to us how liquid, hometown players are, hometown superstars. Like at these shows, it was Ohtani, F1, McDavid, and then it was literally the next liquid card was probably Vladdy, right? So I think in terms of investment for locally, it's a quick, easy pick for Vladdy. But at the same time, if we didn't live in Toronto, I think that's the BGS 9.5 refractor auto at $1,200. I feel like that has more room to grow. And then, like you guys have always said, it's a refractor, right? Like you're not staring at a base card, you're staring at the refractor. So it has the eye appeal, it has the room to grow. And if we're talking straight investment, I honestly believe it's a little bit more safer. Like Vladdy hasn't shown any injury history. I think guys like Tatis and Acuna are starting to show a lot of injury at a very young age, which could be pretty concerning to a lot of investors. So, I think it's for sure it's going to be the Vladdy for me.
Okay. Yeah, for me, I actually have the Fernando Tatis Topps Chrome base auto, but it's in BGS 9.5, not PSA 10.
Okay.
All right. And I love that card because it's in his San Diego uniform, who he currently plays for. Mm-hmm. And it's a much better picture than his first Bowman auto. We talked about that before, right? Although the value is incomparable. But and then I was actually looking at like buying a Topps Chrome Vladdy auto, just like a base auto, until I traded up at the local card show for a Bowman Chrome first auto. So I'm like, I got my Vladdy fill.
Yeah.
But I still like the Topps Chrome card. I think it's good value for sure. But I am going with the Vladdy card as well because, like you said, John, the refractor looks really nice. I like the extra shine. And we talked about this before in that mind-bending pick one that Hyung came out with. If we think PSA 10 is overrated or BGS 10 is underrated, that question. And you know what? PSA 10 is overrated. I still stand by that. So if I'm, I love Tatis. Of course I would love a PSA 10 because, the value is still there in terms of getting the most bang for your buck. But I love BGS 9.5 too. And if it's a refractor, that doesn't, the BGS 9.5 doesn't bug me. Right. And, I'm trying to take my homer bias out of it as a Toronto boy, but even taking that bias out, I'm still going with Vladdy.
All right. That's, you know what? I expected it. I know you guys, we always say buy what you love, right? The better card, obviously, in my opinion, is the refractor just because, it's numbered to 499 and, it's considered a color, right? So for me, normally, I'd say, Vladdy refractor. But I could see short term the value that the Tatis has, the PSA 10. A lot of people look for that PSA 10 base auto. It's a clean card. It's a liquid card. And I think BGS gets shafted sometimes, especially, they get way underpriced. So I don't know if the value is there in terms of, the better investment. I think that if you could get in, to a similar price, I think the value on the Tatis PSA 10 will gain you more money. But I think long term for me, it is the refractor as well, just because I just love the image and card better. I think it's one of Vladimir Guerrero's best cards because it's hard to find a rookie auto where of Vladdy's, like I said, you can't find a good auto anywhere of Vladdy. Right. Like he's the worst. He has the worst autos in the game. It's so weird. It's 2016 is like he was just learning how to sign his name, streaky. And you could see the evolution. Yeah, and then by 2019 he didn't care. He was just like, I'm over this. I'm the number one prospect in baseball. Get these cards out of here, and he just
he's on his 100,000th card, and he's just like, screw this.
Hey. He's got a lot of letters in his name, all right? So
if you find a BGS 9.5 auto 10 in Vladdy's card, it's a pretty good card if it's graded a 10 auto. So I'll say the refractors. But not many people know that.
Good point. Vladdy sweep.
Nice.
Nice.
All right, John.
All right, boys. So Ezra Levine, our guest last week, talked about this, and he mentioned how sports cards are almost officially an investment class. And a lot of collectors and us on this podcast have been saying sports cards have turned into an investment class. So let's put that to the test. So obviously the hottest thing right now is Steph Curry. So we're going to put Steph Curry's rookie Topps Chrome PSA 10, which if there haven't been any sales since a handful of months ago, I think the last sale was around $50K or just under. I'd assume if it came out right now, it would go for 65 versus 1 Bitcoin. So take your collector hat off. This is not, obviously if we're on a podcast about sports cards, it's an easy pick, but take the collector hat off and we're just strictly thinking investment class. You have about 60K to spend. And Bitcoin's down. It's probably at 48 or whatever it's at the time of this recording. But by tomorrow it could be at 60. That's the way Bitcoin works. So let's say you had 60K cash and you want to grow that money. You've got people shouting, "Hey, sports cards, it's an official investment class. Are you going the golden child Steph Curry Topps Chrome PSA 10 or are you going 1 Bitcoin? Which one you think is going to come out on top?"
Good God. Go for it, Clark.
Okay. Man, it's going to be hard to take that collector hat off, but just for purely investment purposes, I think I know where Hyung's going to go, but I am not a huge fan of volatility. But yeah, actually no buts. I'm going with Steph because I think it's a safer bet. I think it will gain in appreciation. I agree that especially high-end sports cards will be a legitimate alternative asset that we can invest in. And, especially with Steph Curry, we talked about it off the top. He's going to be one of those guys that's going to be talked about in the sport of basketball, even after he retires and what he contributed to the game. So I see Steph Curry more as a really nice blue chip stock that will continue to increase over time. And I don't know a lot about Bitcoin myself. Like if I could say both, that's the right answer. But if I had to choose one, I'm going to go with the more, in my opinion, safer bet that I believe will gain in appreciation because, Bitcoin is still volatile. I don't know where it's going to go. Yeah, Steph Curry. Lock it in.
Nice. I'm curious as to wonder what you thought that I was going to pick. You already know my answer. I'm like, I don't even know my answer.
Oh, really? Okay.
But John,
I feel like you're going to go with
volatility.
Bitcoin.
Oh,
the
really?
Volatility. Yeah.
What if I collect Bitcoin? You never said that. Aren't there collectors of Bitcoin instead of investors? I don't
eBay
know.
one of one Bitcoin.
I think it's tough to obviously take your collector hat off on this, and my heart obviously says Steph Curry. I think it'll be a lot more fun. Last time I checked, you can't really root for. Or see a Bitcoin play, a basketball game. So I think it will be a lot more enjoyable. And for me, it is Steph Curry, like hands down. If you're talking about 10 Ethereum right now, that's a different story. I'm going with the 10 Ethereum. But yeah, for me, if it's just one Bitcoin, I'm going with the Steph Curry Chrome base. Yeah. I am,
okay.
Yeah. But although I believe that both will appreciate pretty well, I think Bitcoin has a lot of legs to grow as well, and a lot of applications. So for me, if the coin was different, it would be a different story. But BTC specifically, I'm going Curry Chrome because I think it's gonna, like you said, it's just gonna keep on appreciating. You don't have to worry about it. You can enjoy kind of watching basketball and cheering on Golden State. So I'm gonna go Chrome too. There you go, Clark.
Nice. I stand corrected. Now I have no idea what John's gonna go for.
It's incredible. As I was thinking about this question, it's incredibly tough to take off your collector hat, like you guys mentioned. It's so hard. How cool would it be to own Steph Curry Topps Chrome numbered out of 99 PSA 10? Like, so trying to take out that cool factor and the want, if this is even a word, like the wantingness to have that card, it's tough, man. And what made me, let's say this. I mean, people who are really in the know of like Bitcoin are very bullish that Bitcoin is going to hit 100K. Like that's, I think most people are like hands down that's going to happen. Whether it's going to happen by the end of the year, or I think a lot of people said by the end of the year, which may or may not happen still. But by the time sometime next year, it's going to happen. So I think a lot of people are bullish on that. That's why Bitcoin is still trading at what it trades at. But if you go flip side on the sports card scene, I think people are also very bullish on the Curry Chrome card, PSA 10, which I didn't check the pop report, but I'm pretty sure it's like less than 60. It's a huge card. And I think, me personally, I also think that's going to go to 100K. Now, some people believe Bitcoin's going to go to 300K or 500K.
Right.
Could the Curry do that? I don't know. And I don't, who knows? I can't say it won't happen, but that's a tough, I don't know if it can go that high. So obviously the ceiling is not as crazy as Bitcoin, but Clark, you said it first, like the safety, right? Like, do you believe, can Bitcoin go a lot lower than 60? Could you lose a lot of money? Could it become nothing? It could. Could Curry become nothing? I don't think so. Like, I think your money, if you're going to spend 60K, it's a lot safer in the Curry. I get like, trying to trade it, sell it afterwards. It's a little different. It's a bigger hassle than selling Bitcoin. So there's that portion of it too. But with all that being said, I don't know if this is a collector me saying this, but I'm going Curry as well. Like, I think if we're just talking short term and what can hit 100K, I think they both can. But it's just so much safer of an investment to put it into Curry. So, yeah. I'm not sure if the collector me is saying this, but yeah, I'm gonna go Curry as well. Curry as well. It's a sweep.
All right, but, Curry sweep.
Yeah.
For a second there, I thought John was gonna go Bitcoin after like pumping up Curry so hard.
Yeah. With that being said,
yeah, his famous words. With that being said, all right, cool. All right, let's end off with my 1v1 or my pick one, and it's on one side we have Luka Doncic Panini Prizm Silver PSA 10, which is last sold I believe for $3,500 US, or Trae Young Panini Prizm Silver, same year, rookie card, PSA 10. It's going for about $1,200 now. And I bring these two up because, the prices of basketball cards have been going down. Like, it's kind of crazy. A little bit of a free fall now. And, like every once in a while, John, you'll send like, oh, look at this base Luka. It's like at something ridiculously low amount now. And every time I see that, I'm like, oh, I got to check in the higher end cards because they're probably going down as well to some degree, maybe not as fast, but like I love those opportunities where, oh, now I can actually, maybe I wouldn't mind paying for the silver prisms, and if you look at Luka's card, silver prisms was going for what, 6-7K at one point. And Trae's was going for about 3-4K. So they've all both gone down to what I mentioned, $3,500 for Luka and $1,200 for Trae. And asking this because more so, where do you think the value is? Like, where, you think the value is still in Luka because he probably definitely has a higher ceiling, or is Trae's card to a point where it's like $1,200? Like I paid $900, or I paid $800 for PSA 9 of Trae Young. So I'm like, damn, I definitely lost money on that. I'm like, oh, now, for a few $100 more, I could get a PSA 10, and I still believe in Trae. So yeah, curious to hear your thoughts. Who are you going with? Luka at 3,500, and the pop count for both is roughly similar. Just over 2,000.
Yeah.
By the way, I just before you go, I just checked Trae Silver PSA 10. I think a couple sold for under 1,000.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. To me, I'm buying 3.5 Traes at that.
Wow.
3.5 Trae Young Silvers for the price of a Luka. I don't think Luka's 3 times better than Trae. I always thought Trae was undervalued, and he always gets hated on, or he gets no hobby love, but it's just a matter of time before he keeps on playing the way he does. He's going to average 30 a season next year or next few years, and he's going to be MVP candidate, I think. And for his prices to be this low, I think he's a great buy. Your PSA 9, it's not an L until you sell, Clark. So just hold the line. Just hold the line.
Thanks for the reminder, man.
I'm definitely going Trae Silver at 1,200. I think it's a steal. Under 1,000, I think it's a great buy. And I picked up a courtside base for under 500, or that's right crazy. It was right at 500. It went too low, and it went all the way down, below 4. Like, it was like 440, I think, the lowest courtside. So for me, Trae has been a buy. I'm still buying Trae, and I believe in his talent. And at $1,200 for a silver, I remember those days when, the silvers were going for 3-4K, and I remember Luka's went as high as like you were saying, 6-7K.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like you could triple your money before you triple it with Luka's. So yeah, it's a no-brainer for me with the value in Trae Young.
Okay.
So Trae Silver or ETH?
Yeah.
Hang on, let me think about it. Three Trae Silvers versus 1 ETH.
Ooh.
Oh man. I'm gonna have to think of that one. Yeah, I'm going 3 Trae Silvers still. I think there's more legs. And then I'll sell the 3 and then buy the ETH.
Yeah. I like it.
Nice.
Man, it's crazy to study, like, observing basketball, how it's free falling. And literally the only 2 names that aren't free falling are people that are associated with, it's either Kevin Durant or the Golden State Warriors, right?
Yeah.
And just seeing the the effect the team success has on the player. Like everybody's on Curry right now. Obviously, he set an amazing record. A lot of people are on KD. KD's the best player in the world right now. Everybody forgot about Luka. Everyone forgetting about Giannis. Everyone forgetting about LeBron. It's pretty crazy to just observe how much team success really shines the spotlight. And obviously, MVP conversation is a big part of that too. So I'm not ignoring that fact. I personally still believe as we see this drop in the basketball market, like I think people are really, it's crazy to hear some conversations about, oh, you know what, Luka, nah. Literally the same people last year, like 8 months ago, he's it, man. He's the next dude.
Right.
He's multi-generational. He's amazing. And then 8 months later, it's like, nah, he's not the guy. Like, nah, he looks fat. He's taking too many shots.
Yeah.
Like, nah, he's not it. Like, how do you change your opinion on a guy that quickly, right? So I think for me, I still firmly believe Luka is a generational basketball player. I think he's super special. He's not really an MVP conversation. His team is, his team is doing decent. They're not horrible, but he's becoming forgotten right now. And I think he's also obviously poster boy of the junk slab era, and all of that stuff is kind of going into effect. So I think Luka is a buy. At the same time, if we're talking cards in specific, Trae Silver, we talked about this last week of sports card collector guys were saying like gold refractors might be the next it thing. And if this whole parallel thing becomes what it is it's becoming, like multi-gazillion parallels, I think that's going to put more focus on gold. That's going to put more focus on those OG colors, and it's going to put more focus on silver, whether people realize it or not. I'm feeling like silver is going to make a big run. And if that's the case, to have one of the budding superstars in the league having a silver PSA 10 under $1,000, I don't think there's not one top 30 player with a PSA 10 silver under $1,000. Like, that's pretty crazy. And it's Trae Young. He's popular. He's only a handful of years removed from his hyped rookie season. It's Trae. Like, I never thought I would pick Trae over Luka, but for this case, it's Trae Silver at under $1,000. That's insane. It's Trae. Yeah, it's for sure Trae Silver.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good deal. I love your guys' points. I'm a huge Trae. You guys know I'm a huge Trae believer. And I was trying to look for this Instagram post. I couldn't find it just right now. But there's, how the rule changes in the NBA this year don't reward players like Trae or James Harden, where they kind of misdirect.
They jump into the
yeah, like misdirect their play, and then they get a cheap foul that way. And they're like, oh, Trae Young's gonna, like, his stats are just gonna plummet, or he's not gonna get those extra free throws, right? And then the Instagram's like top 3 in points, or like not in points, but like top 10 in points, top 3 in assists, top 3. Like, his stats are ridiculous still, and it's like, and they're making fun of all those people that are like, oh, look at the rule change, how it's gonna impact his play. Can't say the same for Harden. Harden's been kind of a mess, but maybe that has something more to do with age. But Trae Young's legit. So I can't believe it. I'm not gonna pick Trae though. Choose
really?
I'm choosing Luka because what I'm afraid of with Trae, that he's gonna be a Dame Lillard type. Like, the talent is there, and more like, not with like his skill and whatnot, but hobby love for Trae, or hobby love for Damian Lillard. You know what I mean? Like, for one reason or another, like, I don't think they get the respect that they deserve, and even like Damian Lillard Panini Prizm 2012 cards, it's like 650, 700 now. That's insane to me, right? And I wonder if that's going to be a thing for Trae too. Whereas, some people are off Luka because of his weight, but I mean, I love hearing that stuff, because I still believe in Luka so hard that, like, I just want the value to keep coming down. And
I'm with you.
For me, it's like, when am I going to get a chance to get a Luka Silver Prism for around $3K now? You know what I mean? And especially knowing that it's been doing at least double that before, earlier this year. So, I'm going with Luka for that reason. I didn't
see that coming.
Yeah. I know. I wanted to make this a 3 sweep show, But
I feel like Clark is just he's sour at his PSA 9.
Yeah, maybe that's the reason too. Friggin' chucked it across the room.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that at all. But then
you guys are big trade believers, way above me, man. That's crazy.
I know. I would love to have both, but like if I had a budget of 4K,
Right.
like I would just love to add that Luka to my collection right now, just even if it's just one.
you can't go wrong with both, to be honest.
can't.
Like, you know
I
what I mean?
agree.
That's the whole point, right? It's like Luka's gonna be the safer bet based on his previous price action, but then
For sure.
you know, if I think Trae's still a great opportunity at $1,000. It's just mind blowing to me at where prices were, right? So, but yeah, it's surprising that you picked, because I thought you were gonna go Trae Young for sure.
I know, but oh man, looking at those Luka prices has me salivating a bit.
In the short term, though, I think Luka. To be honest, I feel like Luka's going to come down even more. Like the courtside,
I could see that.
Courtside is what I think a couple of courtsides went for like 2,200. That's insane. Courtside traditionally has been around the same price as silver, so obviously silver is now holding up the name, the refractor. But I could see Luka, his high end, some of his like mid high end stuff. Obviously not his like high end stuff, but we're talking silvers and quartzite. I feel like there's still more room for it to come down, and I think it's not necessarily because, you know, I think it has to do with the entire narrative. Luka, the poster boy of all that stuff that we said. Him looking fat, him not hitting these game winning shots right now. Him going like 9 for 35 with 25 points. Like, people don't like seeing that stuff, right? They think he's not it anymore, right? So I think there's more room for it to come down. So that's another thing about this conversation. Why I'm more on the Trae side is like, ooh, short term, I could, you know, I'm a buy on Luka, but I'm still gonna wait a little bit. I feel like it's gonna come down even further.
I hope you're right.
Yeah, I hope I'm right too.
For
yeah.
sure.
Crazy.
Okay, so that's another fun show in the books. Hope everyone out there has a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. Hope y'all get some hobby boxes from Santa to rip open over the break. And if you're listening to this show, we appreciate you making the time in your busy holiday schedule to tune in. We'll be back for one more episode to cap off 2021 next Tuesday, as we mentioned before. So yeah, stay safe everyone, and we'll see you next week. Hey, thanks for listening to Cards to the Moon. We'd really appreciate you subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also connect with each of us on Instagram at 5cardguys, or you can follow Hyung at Integrity Sports Cards, or John at TradeU at Recess. You can also check us out at 5cardguys.com. Thanks again, and hope to connect soon.